I'm joined now by Mihailo Bjelic, the co-founder of Polygon, a blockchain company, and there's so much to talk about. So let's try and get through all of it in the next 20 minutes. And let's start with the crypto market, because it's been a outside on the promenade is basically just taken over by blockchain companies. In the background, we've had a market crash. We've had issues around stable coins. So just give us your outlook. What's happened? Why are we seeing this crash happening at this point in time?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. As you see, like everyone's talking about crypto. Crypto is the hot topic now, and we believe with the reason, of course. And many funds, from Andreessen Horowitz to other industry and technology leaders, are recognizing crypto and blockchain as the leading or the most important, most transformative technology, probably besides artificial intelligence at this point of time in the world, basically. And we are, of course, convinced that is the case. What we're seeing on the market side or on the prices side is not necessarily correlated with what is actually happening in the technology sector when it comes to technology development, adoption. Actually, these things are quite uncorrelated. So we're seeing now, previously we have seen a lot of hype when it comes to prices. Some valuations probably got overblown a little bit. And I think this is normal. And in economy, you always have these cycles and ups and downs, bull markets and bear markets. And what we have seen with the collapse of Terra is probably or might be the Minsky moment for this cycle of crypto. And it is how it is. How can I say? Like, again, these cycles are probably normal for better or worse. And we just, at Polygon, personally, we are kind of not paying attention to the prices and to these cycles. We are laser focused on what we do, on technology, how it is changing the people's lives, how we onboard more projects, more users. We are more strong than ever, and industry in general, including Polygon. We are super bullish when it comes to technology and adoption and long-term perspectives. But what we have seen with prices, again, it's not necessarily correlated. We have seen this unfortunate incidents with Terra and now this downturn in prices, coupled with the uncertainty on the macro level that we're all seeing, might be some tough times ahead of us. And what is the most important really for us is we hope that there will be mechanisms for retail investors to become protected. That is what we generally are most concerned about.
Mihailo, you said it could be tough times ahead of us. Does that mean you think we're in a prolonged bear market, a new crypto winter? And if so, I mean, when do you see some of that pressure going away? When do you see a rally again?
It's really hard to say. Of course, I don't like to speculate, and I'm, first of all, technologist, and I'm not really good with predictions, but I only can predict, or I think I can predict long-term future. Long-term future is super bullish for crypto and the whole industry, like insanely bullish. Seeing and being kind of deeply into the trenches and seeing all the technology development that is happening and the adoption. And I'm coming now from this month, I've been to 5 conferences on top of all the work. The amount of people, the energy, the conversations we're having from everyone, from native Web3 sector to big enterprises, it's amazing. The level of activity is really amazing. It's completely, this whole conversation about prices, like it doesn't exist in this like a parallel universe where people are just heads down, building, focused, building kind of.
But it's not just about prices, it's also about sentiment, right? People looking at what happened with Terra USD and the whole stablecoin world, that could affect investor sentiment in projects like yours and other projects too. So when you look at what happened with Terra USD, do you feel like the investors can say, well, look, okay, that was one example. That's not systemic. It's not something that's going to really dent confidence in the whole industry? Or do you think it has hurt confidence a little bit?
I don't think it can hurt confidence, especially in the long term. Everyone's going to get more careful in the medium and short term, which is very required. It was necessary. Market, in my personal opinion, became maybe a little bit irrational. Or maybe a little reckless to a certain extent. And when times like that come, a correction is normally needed and at the end of the day, healthy. But again, long term, I'm super bullish. I don't see any investor familiar with the industry, they necessarily see the level of activity that is happening on the ground. And at the end of the day, if you're an investor, you're at the end of the day looking at fundamentals. And fundamentals are super strong for the industry.
Mihailo, Davos is always a fun time because you get together the industry, policymakers and traditional industry and finance and new players, fintech players like yours as well. And one of the interesting things is we've heard a lot of comments from the traditional finance industry over the weekend. The head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, said crypto is worthless. We had Guggenheim Partners' chief investment officer on CNBC saying that most of crypto is junk at this point. But he believes that Bitcoin and Ethereum will effectively survive. And on top of that, you've got the IMF head speaking yesterday, and she called Terra USD a pyramid scheme, but was quite positive overall, actually, on the market. So do you think, let's say, versus 2 or 3 years ago, there's been a shift in thinking at all from traditional policymakers and traditional finance? Because before, they didn't want to be any part of this. Has anything changed?
I think it's constantly changing. Both regulators, big enterprises, everyone want to be more involved with crypto now. No one is ignoring the industry anymore. Again, regarding the comments that you mentioned, some of them are, as you know, sometimes they get a little bit taken out of context, or maybe I can even agree to what some of these people said, that majority, you can indeed argue that majority of projects, maybe even majority, in crypto are junk to a certain extent. This is young industry that attracted a lot of money. Yeah. Where there is a lot of money, there's a lot of speculators and people who want to probably get rich fast and things like that. So this is something that we really need to and it's going to get sorted out as industry matures. And we are constantly seeing that. The situation is much better now than it used to be in 2017 when we had this ICO boom and all these things. The industry is much more mature now and much more stronger in terms of fundamentals.
But there's still thousands of coins around. These can't survive, right?
Exactly. Many of them will not survive. That's very obvious. And that's why, again, if we are discussing investments primarily and looking at that perspective, I would always advise people to just look closely at the fundamentals. If you are interested in some project, learn about it, learn the fundamentals, how strong and committed is the team, how strong the tech is, how hard are they working on adoption, what are the adoption metrics, things like that. That's something that will give you real insights and try to abstract the hype.
So let's talk then a bit about Polygon in that context. Everyone is looking at various blockchain platforms going, what is the one that is going to survive? What is the one or few that are going to be dominant? So what are you trying to do differently to other platforms?
Yeah, so Polygon is, for those that don't know, Polygon is the leading, at this point, blockchain infrastructure provider. We are currently trusted by more than 20,000 blockchain projects and more than 140 or 150 actually unique user wallets. And what is different about Polygon is that Polygon is an agnostic platform. So all the blockchain programming platforms out there are offering one single technology, be it based on zero-knowledge proofs or optimistic proofs or any sort of, especially one specific type of technology. Polygon is an unopinionated, agnostic platform that offers a suite of technologies because we see this industry is in a very young stage. And at this point of time, we are still, as an industry, figuring out what is the right approach. And there will probably not even be one right approach. We are offering multiple technologies that cater or that can meet the requirements of all types of projects, from big enterprises on one side to native Web3 projects. And that is what is different about Polygon. On top of it, we are, as a team, very, very committed. We have a very hands-on approach with all the projects out there. We are working around the clock on adoption, and that's why we are currently the most adopted scaling and infrastructure platform.
And what are give us an example or two of some of the more popular applications being developed on the platform?
Yeah, so we have several adoption efforts or verticals, if you will. On the DeFi side, one of them is DeFi, certainly. The second one is enterprise. Third one are gaming and NFTs, which is under our Polygon Studios effort. And the fourth one is the one that we're just starting now, which is very kind of maybe close to my heart, and it's called Polygon Impact. And it's a vertical that is focusing on developing regions, developing countries, and actually trying to improve the lives of people over there and make some actual impact on the ground. Going back to your previous question, on the DeFi side, I believe all, to the best of my knowledge, all big premium blue chip DeFi applications are on Polygon already. So we have Aave, we have Uniswap, we have basically all DeFi applications, and they're having huge level of activity on Polygon because Polygon is a platform that offers very fast transactions, very affordable transactions, very secure, and that's why we're seeing very high level of activity on these applications. Sometimes even twice as much as on Ethereum where they originally were built, actually, which is very, very interesting. On the enterprise side, we're really working with a huge number of enterprises, especially recently, everything from the fashion industry, from Dolce & Gabbana, Bulgari, to big enterprises like Salesforce. Recently, we announced that Instagram, Meta, is starting to work with us now, which was also a very important thing. Stripe, and through Stripe, we're working with Twitter. So a lot of premium enterprises, and there's so many things in the work as well.
What's interesting is, I guess, when you mention DeFi, it's still quite early stages in this development, and we've seen a lot of teething problems. There's been record number of hacks in the DeFi space, several high-profile scams as well. You faced a number of these issues yourself. So how did these resolve? Is this a case of platforms like yours doing better job at things like security and policing this, or does it also need a regulatory intervention as well?
All of that is required, absolutely. So what is important to say is that Polygon provides architecture. You can think of it as some sort of AWS for Web3. So basically, we provide infrastructure, we make sure the infrastructure is secure. What are people going to use, what are people going to do or build on top of our infrastructure? We have no actual control of that. And if there is a bug on application that is on top of our architecture, we have no control over that. But that being said, we are constantly working on improving all our security practices. We haven't, fortunately, seen until now any high-profile incident on our platform. We haven't had any major downtime. We haven't had any major hack, any security breach. And we're really taking security seriously. And there's so many things that are involved there, from internal security audits, external security audits. I don't want to bother you too much, but there's so many details and so many things that we're focusing on. But again, the nature itself of this industry is that you have open source code that is protecting huge amounts of money. That is by default a honeypot for hackers. And that will just have to remain like that. We just have to keep working and be serious until all these applications and code are battle tested, audited, and secure enough that can actually provide a high level of confidence.
But this is one of the risks, of course, of such decentralized applications as well.
Absolutely.
So, the regulators are looking at this space. They're looking at so many different things across the industry, from stable coins to whatever the future of DeFi and Web3 looks like. What if they just come in and say, no, we're not happy with this, you can't do this, or put more onerous regulation on the space? Is that a risk at this point?
I believe that's always a risk, but I totally don't believe that will happen, for a simple reason that I believe regulators now understand the fundamentals of the industry, understand the potential, understand that on the financial side, what we're trying to create here, it's very important to understand what are we trying to achieve. And then we see, okay, maybe some of these hacks and maybe some of these incidents are worthwhile, like we can tolerate that because we have some grand goal and some grand vision. And grand vision is like we created this internet network, global network of information that we call the internet. And it transformed the world in profound ways we couldn't have imagined 20 years ago. So now anyone from any remote village in Africa or in Serbia, where I'm originally from, can attend MIT classes. That was simply unimaginable 20 years ago. These people now, unfortunately, I lived in Africa for some time. For example, in Tanzania, it's a big country, and at least 1/3 of the country, or 20 million people, doesn't have even IDs, not to mention bank accounts. So now with the internet, they can attend this MIT course, they can learn to code, but they cannot monetize it still. They have no way to participate in global economy. If we are able to build this global network of value that we're building with blockchain and crypto, all these people will now be able to participate in a very simple way. They just need the blockchain wallet, and they become participants in this global economy. And that way we democratize the global economy, and we make it much more stronger, powerful, because we will get, 2 billion more participants. And that grand vision, I think, is something that regulators are very well starting to understand. And we just need to keep an eye on this grand vision and then we understand that we can maybe tolerate some of these things because we know what we're trying to achieve.
So partly is part of the puzzle is the financial inclusion side
Absolutely.
of things. We have a kind of a real world example of this to some extent in El Salvador, right? They adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. The argument from El Salvador was, well, look, we have a large population that is unbanked. If we introduce Bitcoin, as legal tender, we'll bring them into the system through digitalization, etc. That's not how it's played out yet. And it's unclear if that's how it's going to play out. And it's brought a lot of financial issues for El Salvador. So when you look at that as a real world example, was that the wrong way to approach it? Was Bitcoin the issue in that case?
I would personally argue that Bitcoin was probably the issue. And I think maybe the president mainly communicated with Bitcoin community, and that's how the whole arrangement happened. We all know that Bitcoin is fortunately very wasteful technology, and it still uses this legacy proof of work that basically the industry is moving away from it. And it is very slow. It's basically legacy technology. It's the first blockchain, the first cryptocurrency. And the industry has really moved a long way since Bitcoin and since that technology. So I think for El Salvador and any other country looking to actually empower their citizens with blockchain and crypto, they should look into bleeding edge technologies and projects like Polygon or things that are happening in Ethereum ecosystem, for example. These projects offer much higher throughput, green technology, even environmentally positive technology, secure, even private. So again, technology has moved quite a lot since Bitcoin.
And Mihailo, you told me you're here talking to businesses, to enterprise. A few years ago, large companies did not want to touch anything that was vaguely related to crypto. Has the thinking shifted at all? What's happening now with enterprises?
It has shifted quite a lot. We're really working with basically the biggest enterprises now in the world, from Salesforce to Visa to JP Morgan even now. And permissionless, I had so many contacts with the enterprise sector. We are doing together pilot programs. We're doing production setups together. So the focus the sentiment has changed, I would say dramatically. Even with Polygon, if you think about it, Polygon has been announced not even 2 years ago. And now we're working with all these major enterprises and have official collaborations with them. So I think they have, working and speaking with a lot of them, they have very actually capable teams that are very up to date with the industry, that have very deep understanding of technology quite often. And we're very happy to see that. Yeah.
Mihailo, we've got about 2 minutes left, so I just want to very quickly finish with the future of your business and what you're focusing on. Firstly, you raised a large funding round earlier this year. What are you focusing on with that money going forward?
Yeah, we are focusing, our focus is very long term. So we are focusing on bringing Polygon to more people, onboarding the world to blockchain and using Polygon as a platform. We believe Polygon is top 3 project in the industry when it comes to fundamentals, when it comes to adoption, and when it comes to technology. We just want to keep pushing hard, working around the clock to continue delivering great results. We have several very exciting things on the tech side, several very exciting technologies. One of them is ZK EVM, which we don't have the capacity now to explain in more detail, but something that we really believe can transform the industry or take us to the next chapter or next level. On the adoption side, we are continuing firing on all cylinders, working again, as I said, on DeFi sector, gaming, NFT sector, enterprises, and now what is, again, close to my heart, this impact initiative that we are starting now. As you said, we raised a large round that can easily get us through this bear market if you're even in the bear market. Now, again, I'm not the one to judge on that. Time will tell. But anyways, we are very covered on the financial side. Our treasury on top of that funding round is super strong still. So we're, I believe, in a very good place. And we're just looking forward 3 to 5 years where we want to see Polygon. And we see Polygon as the leading platform that is bringing the world to Web3.
Do you also see within that 3 to 5 years Polygon as a publicly listed company?
Polygon itself has a utility token that is powering the whole ecosystem. And it is kind of publicly listed. As you know, like many of the crypto projects has their own native token, which is in a way publicly listed
That's true.
asset, but it is a utility token that is used to power internal Polygon economy and the ecosystem. And the interesting thing is that now we're redesigning the token. We believe that's something very interesting also to the general public, and we'll be sharing more details about that. So yeah, to answer your question, we are in a way publicly listed already. Anyone can buy Polygon token and get a piece of the innovation and participate, which is more important in the whole economy. But again, that brings us another level of responsibility because again, anyone can buy it. So we're really trying our best to protect even these small uneducated retail investors.
Great, Mihailo, thanks so much for speaking to me today. Great insight. It was nice to meet you and get an introduction to Polygon. And I hope you guys got an introduction to Polygon and where the future of this business is going as well. A round of applause for Mihailo Bjelic.
Thank you so much.